Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the test. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. Let's see if that's working a little better. On Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. We're ready to get it rolling. Glad that you've chosen to make us a part of your morning routine. It is the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Glad that you have got up and at 'em. It's a Tuesday morning. It's National Championship Tuesday. A little weird in the South as no Southeastern Conference team was a part of the fray. I guess for the first time since the first time of the college football playoffs. No SEC school represented. The Big Ten bookends the national championship college football playoff 4-team tournament with a resounding victory by the Michigan Wolverines. We'll talk about that game and what we can take from that as we look into the college football season. We also have lots of stories to get through around the Crimson Tide, from more guys in the portal. Maybe Saban can get one out of the portal. There's one guy that I would be of interest of having back for sure on this team. We can talk through that. Also, news on the coaching staff. Is that the beginning or the end of that conversation as we move forward today? We'll see about that particular thought process and conversation. Also, we didn't really talk much about it. I do want to give Demeco Rhymes a shout out for being a history maker. Briefly mentioned it on yesterday. There's some things I think we can learn from the Michigan game last night, as well as our direct game against them. So lessons learned, opportunity there. And then we can talk about Jalen Milroe and his season. All of those are topics that I kind of went through and said, hey, these are some of the things we want to hit this week. We don't have to hit all of them today. We don't have to hit any of them today. You out there as the listening audience, you may want to call in and say, hey, Martin, I want to talk about this. 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, or you can add your thoughts, your comments, your questions, etc. in the live stream. And don't forget, on the live stream, we are going to be consolidating the live broadcasting page to just a few pages. Martin J. Houston 35, as well as the same thing on YouTube, and I'll give you more details on that as we get closer. That's all going to happen on the 29th. But if you're not tuned in or following Martin J. Houston on Facebook or on YouTube, I would make sure I have at least those two pages so that you'll continue to get the live broadcast. We'll use the other channels and et cetera as replay, instant replay, and special events. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Want to remind everybody that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, and be the difference you want to see in the world today. Normally, we would have DC Capstone Report in on the broadcast. He's not in today, dealing with some of the effects of the storm that weather that came through Tuscaloosa last night. So keep him lifted up in your prayers. I guess I get your initial reaction to last night's ball game.
A little bit of sick to the stomach, one stop, and one final stop last Monday, and I truly believe we're talking about Alabama being national champions. The streak continues of every class that's been here for 3 years, wins the championship. The whole nine of where we thought the season could end. But hats off to Michigan at the end of the day. It'll be interesting moving forward how this pans out for them. Great running attack. I mean, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum are a nasty duo. And let's see if this national championship stands, or do we have a 2004 USC all over again?
Speaking of the stand, it's interesting. I never commented on the cheating. I don't know if anybody's ever really noticed that, because I didn't think Michigan would win. It was like it's going to be a moot point. Michigan's not going to win the national championship. Michigan's not that good. Wrong. Michigan, I don't know that I would take Blake over Justice or Jam. I don't think I would take Edward. What's their backup's name? Number 7?
Donovan Edwards.
Edwards, yeah, that's what I was meant. I wouldn't take either one of those guys over our running back room. They just have an offensive coordinator that gets it. How brilliant! The guy that I like the least in the entire coaching profession, all levels combined, is Jim Harbaugh. But I want to take you back 4 years, I'm sorry. 2020, Alabama's last national title. Michigan was falling apart. He was about to be fired. Now, forget the cheating and accusations that his school has admitted to, because he got suspended the first 3 games by his own school. Forget the sign stealing, if you can, which his conference admitted to. I hear people say, well, he didn't know about it. He didn't do it. Well, there's a lot of coaches who lost jobs and a lot of programs that have been on probation because of some rogue alumni or booster. So that's never been a requirement. The head coach should know and should be held responsible. That's number one. But he went out and hired defensive coordinators from his brother's staff and brought them to Michigan. Got rid of the old guys. This is what it said. They got rid of the old guys. He now has an offensive coordinator that is an offensive line coach. Okay? I want you to think about that for a second. An offensive line coach. What do you think an offensive line coach is committed to even when you think it's not working?
Running the football.
Running the ball, physically running the ball, right? And who's built to stop Michigan's run now that I'm looking at it in hindsight? Nobody. And we slowed it down. But watch this, X. What did they do with their quarterback last night? They
Took the
moved him.
game out of. They moved him and pretty much took the ball out of his hand and let the backs and the O line dominate.
But even when it wasn't, they still moved him. Why could we not get to their quarterback? Because they moved him, they got the ball out quick, etc. Right?
Right.
You usually don't think of an offensive lineman as a coach, as a great offensive coordinator. But when you think about it, if it all starts in the trenches, who knows better what the strength of the team is, right? Who knows exactly what the other team can and cannot stop? I mean, it's a brilliant move by Jim Harbaugh. Like I said, least guy I like the least in the entire coaching profession. He's quirky. He's just, I don't know what it is about him, but kudos. 15-0, Michigan, toast of the town. I think they have a mighty fall coming, and not just because of training, not just because of coaching and scandals. I think that they have a lot of old guys who came back for this very reason. They didn't have Blake last year. He came back for a national title. A lot of guys came back to win it this year, and it shows you the age, and if you can protect yourself against the portal, X, it shows that you can do a lot of damage in the college football game.
100. I mean, 100%. And I didn't sit down and physically watch the game. I actually went to the gym last night and was watching it while working out. And it was just, as I stated, it was just like, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in this game right now. But the funny thing, I texted a buddy and we were talking about how Michigan was running the ball. And I said, for some reason, I know Tommy Rees would be trying to throw the ball in this game just because that's what he's proven to do. He's proven to do the opposite of what is winning this game. Not doing, like, just taking what the defense gives you. He tried to do it the way he wanted to get it done. Even though Milroe and Jace and Justice and Wardell and Jam would have a field day, he'd be trying to throw the ball. I just know it. So it would have been a closer game than it needed to be.
I don't know that we would have won the game against Washington. I mean, I'm just convinced that Michigan's defensive coaches did is just as good a job as their offensive coaches. I don't think we hold them to 13 points. I'm patting them dudes on the back. Jim Harbaugh has a coaching staff. They came out against us doing what? Throwing the ball. They came out against us running one tight end when they were the most 12 personnel heavy team the entire year. Came out with one tight end and one running back. They came out in the 11 personnel versus 12 personnel against us. They go back against Washington and they go back 12 and they pound them. This coaching staff won this game, and that brings me up to Bam's point. That brings me up to what Pat wants to talk about. That brings me up to what you want to talk about. Bama is not losing because of talent, but lack of high-quality coaches as well. Bama needs only 4 or 5-star coaches. The players are already there at Bama. That's MH0407. He said if Bama goes out to 4 and 5-star players, should Bama also go out to 4 or 5-star coaches? Isn't there a firm that ranks him? I don't know about that. MHS0047 says currently it looks like Bama has 2 or 3-star coaches, not 4 or 5-star coaches. We'll talk about all of that because you watched what keeping guys out of the portal, meaning Michigan kept a lot of their players and they matured and they were 3rd, 4th, and 5th year guys in that program that had played in 2 college football playoffs and was playing in their 3rd one. They were hungry, they were well coached, and they were committed to a scheme and an identity. How many of those things can you say about Alabama? How many 3-4 year players did we have that had experience in the playoffs or had experience at any level? How many top-rated coaches do you think we have? And how, oh man, think about this, X. And we were still there. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. As you get up and head out the door early on this Tuesday morning drive, we're moving along very nicely with no big accidents or breakdowns or heavy interstate backups to contend with. What we do have, though, is a little light rain that's moving through the area. Doesn't appear to be causing any major impact, but just be aware of that. If you're traveling 2059 from Foster's out to Cottondale, McFarland Boulevard, our university as well, no big problems along the way. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Townsend Nissan Super Sale is underway right now with instant savings from $2,000 to $10,000 on most in-stock units. No reasonable offer refused. Shop Townsend Nissan today.
Ask big. Have you seen our artisan-created diamonds? If you've been in a room with one, you can't miss it.
Tom Osment from Fincher and Osment.
It's a diamond like I've never seen.
And he's seen a lot of diamonds.
Ask big.
At Fincher and Osment, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it,
more importantly, when she sees it,
FincherandOsment.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Hey, is this line secure?
Franco's cybersecurity firm secured a contract, and that's all we're allowed to say.
We have a green light on hiring.
He needs web security professionals with a military background.
3 teams of 4, 24-hour rotations, but Protocol Zulu is on a need-to-know basis.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard, so you can stay organized and connected all the way to the hire. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Football is back, and no one does it better than the Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. This season, you can watch the games with nothing on the line. Boring. Or you can make a play in the starting lineup. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino puts you into the big plays with big bets and big wins, making every game more exciting than ever. It's time for the sports glory you deserve without breaking a sweat. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game.
Must be 21. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Rain ending this morning, cloudy, windy, and colder with temperatures settling into the mid to upper 40s today. A clearing sky tonight, the low 32. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 48. And Thursday, the sky partially sunny, the high at 59. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 52 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaXSports. We're on Tide 100.9. If you tune in, normally you catch DC Capstone Report in with us today. He's not in with us today, dealing with some weather issues from the storm. Praying for all of those who were impacted last night by the storm. Hopefully everything is okay in your neighborhood. We appreciate you getting up and at it with us this morning. Remember your neighbors and friends today who may have been directly impacted. As we get ready to get into it, I want to remind you to check out a couple of our local sponsors. Don't forget about Southmark Design. Southmark Design, official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show. SouthmarkDesign.com. Also, Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. We'll talk about what all we need to do for Bama this week if we're going to get back to the mountaintop. But after watching last night, how did you feel as you watched a really, really well-coached team? I mean, that's the only way to describe what you saw last night, a very well-coached team who absolutely did some serious business on the field last night. X.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Michigan, at the end of the day, regardless of if it was what it was that got them there, this team was well coached and they were well prepared week in and week out for whatever reason that was. But I mean, at the end of the day, hats off to Michigan and hats off to the players, because at the end of the day, they weren't the ones that were doing anything. They just went out and played the games to a certain extent. So, got to give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and since it wasn't my team, I didn't complain about the officiating. But if I'm Washington, I'm definitely complaining. I did not get to see the first part of the game, so I don't know if they held on those big runs or not. But I do know that there was a couple of big plays. X and Virgil Williams asking, was it me or was the officiating skewed one way pretty bad, especially on big plays on offense? I don't think Michigan had a penalty till late in the game. But like even on that touchdown pass, not touchdown, the long pass to number 18 that broke the game open when it was still a 1-score game, that it shows up close and personal where he turned number 4. It would have been a sack if he doesn't grab him. But, like I said, I wasn't as invested in that game. I'd be griping and complaining if I'm Washington, though. Even Herbstreit and Fowler said, wow, that's a hold twice. That's at least 2 big holes. They said that's at least 2 big holes that they got away with. Now, I didn't see the first one because I think that was on maybe one of the run plays. But either way, Alabama, we got news yesterday about a defensive coordinator leaving. I'm not sure that that's a surprise. I think this was a one-and-done deal with Kevin Steele, who reportedly needed one more year to get retirement in the state of Alabama. X, and I just wonder, does this also give enough leeway for Saban to get Jeremy Pruitt? And why do I say that? He's been trying to hire Bo Davis back into the SEC for several years. And been told no, and he's been told no by the commissioner. Well, guess who's in the SEC now?
Good old Texas and Bo Davis.
There we go. So I think that also may give Saban some leeway to potentially circle back on Jeremy Pruitt. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do think that the Kevin Steele was a one-and-done type of scenario.
I do believe with the rumors that we heard all season of Travaris Robinson being the one calling the defense and things like that, I think this was if Pruitt is not an option, I think this is a stepping stone move for Travaris Robinson to be the defensive coordinator potentially.
And as good as he is he ready? I mean, that's our problem.
The question.
That's our problem. That's our problem. I like T-Rob, and I hope he's an unbelievable dude. I hope he's an unbelievable D coordinator. But that doesn't give me great excitement that our coaching level is going to go up. I don't think T-Rob elevates our defense. He may be just as good. I think he elevated our defensive back play for the majority of the season. But as a coordinator, does he elevate because we have no proven record? Pat wants to talk about it. Pat, you're on the Alabama with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, again, I agree with you, Martin. This was not Coach Saban was not caught doing something else whenever this news came out. Is that he's already got a plan in action. And like you said, hey, the only thing that makes our defense become stellar quickly is Bo Davis from Texas to coach the line, put Freddie Roach doing what he did all of his career, a linebacker coach, and bringing in Pruitt to guide the stuff and probably eventually be the new head coach.
Who be the new head coach?
Pruitt.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but I'm talking about.
I don't think they're gonna give the head coaching position to somebody who struggled the way he did without another type of track record. You can't afford.
Well,
you can't afford
I'm
to do
giving
that.
you the track record as Alabama's defensive coordinator.
I don't think
being a DC and a head coach is not the same.
Yeah, but I don't think Tennessee will hold. I mean, I don't think I disagree with you there. I don't think that Tennessee struggled from Pruitt. They didn't want Jeremy. They didn't help Jeremy, and they fought against him. Don't believe everything you hear coming out of Tennessee. There was a reason. There was a reason that what's his name won as fast as he did at Tennessee. It wasn't just all Jeremy. I don't. I think if he came here, just like Kirby, his experience in learning some of what not to do may be a positive. But here's the thing. I don't know if they haven't. Saban may or may not have hired the young man from Michigan's former staff. That didn't seem to help us out any. But we lost our outside linebacker coach. Do they move Bo Davis here, or does Bo Davis stay in Texas? I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. Pat, my concern is this: Nick Saban, it's always tough to talk about Saban when you question anything because you're questioning third world problems. You see what I'm saying? Like everything we're saying negative today, dude, we still could have made it to the national championship and still could have won a national championship despite everything. So I say that in third world problems. Our complaining is about how do we get better from being semifinal in the college football playoffs. I get that. But we say that he has a plan. Well, he had 2 years, and you and I and everybody in the world knew that Bill O'Brien was going to be a 2-year offensive coordinator. And we ended up with Tommy Rees.
And watch the guy that we really wanted losing, and even though they lost, coach for a national championship.
Do what now?
And even though they lost, we watched the guy that was his number one choice take his team to a national championship, even though they didn't win it.
And everybody says Grubb was number one. Grubb wasn't number one either, I don't think. Grubb was the guy right before, I think. I think he lost out on his first couple guys because Dabo and other guys beat him to the punch. But Grubb was one of the first public choices we heard. But it's interesting. Like I said, it's kind of hard to figure out. And I said third world problem. We have first world problems here at Alabama. And so thanks for helping me out with that, Justin. It's just frustrating. Let's get to Alan. Alan, thanks, Pat. Alan, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. I think that first of all, I'm going to ask you this. Who is your choice for the defensive coordinator right now?
I don't
Without
know.
Pruitt, because we can't get Pruitt because of stuff's going on. Let's say who would we go with right now?
I would try to get, and someone already referenced it. I'd try to get Charlie Strong, which supposedly he's already here. And even is Blind Squirrel Sport Georgia fan saying Charlie Strong might co-defensive coordinator
with T-Rob.
With T-Rob.
That'd be awesome.
I think that would be, and I think Charlie Strong. I think Charlie Strong is legit. I think he would elevate. I think kids from an experience standpoint, he would elevate.
Well, he's proven he's a good defensive coordinator over the years, so that's a no-brainer right there. And as far as Michigan goes, those guys, you know, it's just like San Diego State was when Alabama played them last year in basketball. They played together so long where they knew each other's tendencies and stuff like that. So, you know, and Bama still had a chance to beat them. I mean, congratulations to them. But Bama, you know, Bama to me still had more talent. And sometimes talent wins over experience. And we just got out-coached in that game, just my opinion. We just got out-coached. And I'm talking about from the top, we got out-coached all the way down. Because Tommy Reese is awful. He is simply awful. And when you start running the ball up the middle, you know, first down, second down, third down, you throw the ball. And they knew exactly what we were going to do. He didn't have to get our plays. We gave them to him. You know, he didn't have to steal our plays. They knew what they knew what we were going to do.
You don't go away from your strength, but you do put in new wrinkles. Did we have anything new in that game? Did we run anything that they hadn't seen on film? No. We didn't run anything they hadn't seen on film. There was not one new play in that playbook. So and that's crazy after a month of game planning. So thanks, Alan. What did I hear that in the background? Is that your truck warming up? Alan's truck's warming up. Hey, guys, we'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We're powered by MaXSports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. As you get up and head out the door early on this Tuesday morning drive, we're moving along very nicely with no big accidents or breakdowns or heavy interstate backups to contend with. What we do have, though, is a little light rain that's moving through the area. Doesn't appear to be causing any major impact, but just be aware of that. If you're traveling 2059 from Foster's out to Cottondale, McFarland Boulevard, our university as well, no big problems along the way. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
The ultimate sports betting app is now available in Alabama. BetU. BetU is the only legal sports betting app in Alabama where friends can bet real money on games directly against each other rather than against a typical sportsbook or bookie. BetU allows you to bet on spreads and money lines for NFL, college football and basketball, NBA, NHL, and MLB. All you need is a driver's license and bank account. Download BetU for iOS on the App Store today. Learn more about BetU by visiting their website, betu.us. That's bet.u.us.
Did you know that 90% of the lawyers you see or hear advertised aren't even in Alabama?
Just think about that. I used this guy, Stephen Mesrano, twice because he did what no other lawyers could do. He won for me, and he can win for you. Mez wins.
Thanks, guys. I'm attorney Stephen Mesrano, and I win. Call me, 205-800-8000, and let me fight for you. And when you call, you'll actually talk to me. 205-800-8000. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
She's running around. Her breath doesn't smell. Her digestive system is perfect. It has made such a huge difference.
What did this dog parent do for their dog? She switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-sized bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaXSports. It's a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning. Questions out there. A couple of our listeners asked a question. Let me see who started it. Jason Rutledge said, we ran Tecmo Bowl plays, no creativity after a month of prep time. And Vine Squirrel Sports said, whose offensive scheme was worse, Bama's versus Michigan or Georgia versus Bama? Hashtag Tecmo Bowl. What's your thoughts?
Oh, man. Hey, Jason, I don't know what we were running against Michigan, but we've said it for the last week. It looked like we went right back to the beginning of the season. And that's why we got beat. And Blind Squirrel, it has to be Bama versus Michigan. It has to be. I don't know. But Blind Squirrel, I got one thing for it. I need you to do one thing for me. I need you to go talk to all you Georgia friends and say, stop going, oh, we would have beat this team if we were in, after all playoffs last year, all season. Y'all were on our butts for saying we would have beat Michigan last year. We would have beat TCU when we didn't make it in. I'm going to need you to hold you guys accountable.
The Georgia fans, I'm going to tell you, they are looking. Someone said that they used to be Vanderbilt fans, and now they're trying to act like Alabama fans. So, it was a very, very interesting thought process there. If you look at the team stats for Alabama versus Michigan, Alabama ended up with 288 yards, 17 first downs, 32 minutes and 19 in possession. Michigan had 351 yards, only 15 first downs, and only 27-41 in total time. And the crazy part is, if you watch Alabama, if you go back and watch that game, we did all of that in one half of play, X.
Yeah.
We did all that in one half of play because we did nothing in the first half.
At less than 100 yards.
Right. We did nothing. And we had 172 rushing yards with the negative loss of yards on the sacks. So we had over 200 yards rushing against Michigan. And if you think about it,
the two bad snaps, the multiple bad snaps.
I don't know if those come off of the rush yards or not.
They do.
Okay. And when you take all of that, and then you take half of our plays, if you take half of our run plays were up the middle, they were dead plays. You take the fact that Milroe attempted how many passes in the first half? They don't count sacks as attempts.
No, I think it was 6 or 7.
I think we threw the ball maybe 3 times in the first half, but we attempted like 8 dropbacks. or something crazy, or 10 dropbacks because he scrambled a couple times. That's the craziness of it. And we did all of that in the second half. We had 200 plus yards in the second half, had total control of the game, but it's situational coaching. It's not just coaching at all. Alabama has to find a wide receiver coach. Alabama has to find they have to find a defense coordinator now. And even with that, if we get a top-notch defensive coordinator and a world-class wide receiver, do you feel better about this team in 2024 if Tommy Rees is still at the helm calling the plays?
Absolutely not.
We'll get Philip. Philip, you're in on the line, wanting to talk about player retention. You're on with Martin and Xavier on Alabama One Hotline.
Good morning, guys. First of all, I will say that Alabama just they weren't prepared from a coaching standpoint against Michigan. I mean, if Michigan's tendency to go to huddle threw Alabama off, then Alabama wasn't ready. I mean, period.
Yeah, that hurt when I heard Saban say that the change. Think about the change that impacted our defense was that they huddled. They huddled. They huddled. I mean, did he just say we lost that game because the other team huddled?
Well,
you heard that, y'all.
Yeah, I heard it. That was unbelievable.
Philip, what does that tell you about our defense? Is if we can't get a play. Now, remember, they huddled, but they still came out in base formations. Go back and watch. There was, even though they came out of the huddle, either with, one running back, one tight end, 3 wide outs, or they came out with one running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide outs. They didn't come out in like 5 wide receiver sets with stacks and guys spread to the hashes and 4 wides and 1 running back and guys in motion. They were, even though they did come out of the huddle, they did come out in pretty basic standard formations. And our defense was not able to get the plays called quick enough for communication to get to everybody, is what was said, if you missed it.
That's exactly right. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about, Martin, was the player retention and the portaling. I want to say Alabama's probably had 40-plus players portal over the last 2 years. Would you agree?
If you think about
37 or 38
in the last 3 years, but take a second. The first year, I think Alabama lost 17. The next year, they lost 19. Last year, we thought it was fixed, right? And they went down to maybe double digits. I don't remember what last year's was. But they lost more than 17 the first 2 years. Okay, plus last year's class. Now they're losing this year's class.
I'm getting that.
Just taking those 2 classes, Philip, those would be your juniors and seniors coming up.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's a huge blow. What I'm getting at is this: we have 2 directors of player development, Denzel Duval and Bob Welton, and they're so busy they've got 3 guys working for them: Ha Dix, Roger Bedford, and Evan Van Nordstrom. So we got 3 of those guys that do the same thing. So you got 5 guys that are kind of in the same general ballpark as far as what they do. So maybe they need to change their job description from player development to retention department.
Remember, that was part of what he tried to bring Sal Sunseri on for, and I forget the other tight end the tight end coach that he moved off the field from Memphis a couple years ago. And their whole goal was to work with the guys in the portal. That may be transferring. I just think that. Listen, I think that I think his response is seen in this year's recruiting class, Philip. I think he's going to go after 3-star guys and a handful of 4- and 5-star guys that can play early and then develop. So that can develop in the program who are not going to be being recruited while they're being developed. That makes sense.
Yes,
in other words, these 3-star, 4-star. Think about, he signed more kids from Tuscaloosa lately than he had, in years. We have 2 in this class. We had a kid last year. That's 3. I don't know that we've signed 3 kids in his entire tenure here.
B-Rob, Bo, Michael Williams, he's from Pickens, John Michael Boswell, Brad Smiley.
And what's his name? Sunseri.
Sunseri. So that's 6, but
in
all of those
years.
guys were 2011 back, outside of Bo and B-Rob.
Yep. So you're right. We have got to get the retention, and Xavier just sent me some numbers. 21 in 23, 21 and 22. And you say 20 and 24. Does that mean 20 and
or 23? After the 21 season, we lost 23 guys. After the 22 season, we lost 21 guys. After this 23 season, we've lost 20.
Yeah. And we started the year off before this year we don't know the effect of this year. It's the 20 year that's the impact year, because those are the guys that would be juniors right now.
Don't the coaches have their convention here coming up in a few days?
I think so.
Well, I guarantee you, Portland, if it's not, they're brain dead if they don't make that a point of contention this year. I mean, they've got to. The only people that can change that are the coaches.
Yeah, but there's other coaches out there. Which coach is going to fight for it? Lane Kiffin very well may win the SEC or play for the SEC championship next year. He has to beat Georgia. I thought they didn't play Georgia. I'm gonna go back and check the schedule.
They play Georgia.
Huh?
I think they do play Georgia next year.
Yeah, they play Georgia in Ole Miss.
That's right.
And if he can remember, only 2 games he lost this year was us and Georgia. So he may get over the hump next year, because we know Georgia or Alabama are going to definitely have at least 1 loss. One of them is going to have – one of them cannot go undefeated next year.
That's right.
We know that out of the bat. So, and Kiffin is over there paying and winning in the portal. So he's not going to fight for it to stop. The only people that's going to fight for it to stop is going to be Georgia and Alabama. And maybe you get Texas to fight for it when they get here, if they start getting, poached. But other than that, I don't know that the other teams care. Because here's the thing. We're getting developed guys from these other schools. We're getting older 3 and 4 stars. These other teams are getting unproven 4 and 5 stars. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You just gave me a great topic for Would You Rather tomorrow, Philip. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Coming back on the other side, we'll put the finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show. We're able to do it each and every day because we have some great folks at Alabama One, alabama1.org. They can help you with all the things you need financially. Go to our website, alabama1.org, and click on the deposit to win, and we'll make you a winner today. If you get an opportunity, you can get entered to win. alabama1.org, Alabama One together.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have picked up an accident on westbound 2059 at Skyland Boulevard. It's on the shoulder of the road, though. No lanes blocked, and we are noting a whole lot of backup to get through there. If you're traveling on 2059 between Skyland and the 359 interchange, that'll take you just about 8 minutes both directions with no big problems along the way. And traveling 69 up from Hale County, no problems there either. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. 76,000 plus Alabamians are awakening in the dark this morning. That's due to storm-produced power outages all across the state. 5,800 of those outages are here in Tuscaloosa County. Each remaining West Alabama county has outages in the hundreds. That storm system also moving into Georgia now. Dropped almost 5 inches of rain in Perry County, almost 2 inches in Tuscaloosa and Pickens County. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather. It's free. Todd Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join us tomorrow for a wild card edition of the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaXSports. We'll have a Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll also review the Alabama versus South Carolina game, and we'll start the process of evaluating the inside and out of the Alabama Crimson Tide as we review the KPIs. You have to tune in to find out what that is. Those conversations and more right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaXSports.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9.
Trust your trophy mount to the professionals at Hicks Taxidermy in downtown Northport. For over 40 years, West Alabama hunters and fishermen have taken their deer, fish, ducks, hogs, and turkeys to Hicks Taxidermy. They have an after-hours drop-off freezer, and they can handle mounts for overseas safaris because they are a USDA certified taxidermist. Hicks Taxidermy is the official scorer of the 95.3 The Bear Big Buck Contest. Hicks Taxidermy open Monday through Friday at 703 Main Avenue in downtown Northport.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, doing doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap. Or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop. Download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Hey, this is Reagan, owner of R&R Cigars, the Cigar Mansion in downtown Tuscaloosa, located at 2703 6th Street across from the Home 2 Suites. Come down to R&R and see why we're the ultimate cigar and bourbon experience. With over 165 bourbons and 5 private barrels, our selection of bourbon is unmatched. We have the best cocktails around, and our cigar selection is legendary. Our lounge and service are world-class. Come and experience the luxury of the mansion and see why it's a world-renowned cigar and spirits destination.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Get back in with the Martin Houston Show. There's always conversation to be had right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. Hey, don't forget to go check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant, Billy's Cooking LLC on Facebook. Great options, Wing Wednesday, Soul Food Sunday, and throw a little Fish Friday in. And you have 3 great days, 3 great options for your food. Don't forget about the 50-cent wings. As we prepare to wrap up this edition of the Martin Houston Show, I want to invite you to join us at Harvest Church on Wednesdays at 6. We have a meal. Free meal, donations accepted, and then worship time, teaching time, youth and children as well at 6:30, and then Sundays 9 a.m. Bible study, 10 a.m. worship time. That's Harvest Church, loving God, loving people. All right, X, we got a caller we need to get to before get your thoughts on tonight's game, Alabama versus South Carolina. Jay, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys. Great show. Love listening. One of the things y'all talked about that to me it relates to coaching. It should relate to coaching. Michigan won. We talk about because they had older dudes with more experience. Basketball, football, sometimes it's not the team with the most talent, but just the value of experience, right? And to me,
Absolutely.
sometimes I look at the coaching, I was like, why it doesn't feel like the same value is put on experience. And it's like, it's kind of, I think both ways. Saban's the greatest coach. I can't deny that. But some of these coaches that have been hired that, yeah, I'm not the expert, but I'm like, we're Bama, right? Why don't we go pick the top 3 defensive coordinators? And like LSU, they just made their guy that they hired the highest paid assistant coach. It feels like with the money that's coming in from football and how much we put on it, why do we not just say, I want the best coach, X's and O's, development, but just that experience has to be so valuable. And it seems like some of our guys don't have that. And it's just kind of like confusing.
It's not a seam. It is a reality. Okay. The experienced guys we get are guys who have coached for Saban before or grew up in his tree. We don't get guys outside of his tree or that haven't coached for him. Okay. So here's the reality. Jay, before you go, listen to this. Jay, coaches don't just get in the coach to coach X's and O's. Coaches have families too. Okay. And the grind and the demand that Saban used to put on coaches has absolutely eaten them alive. And they're no longer willing to come here because they can go somewhere else and make double it. Golden left here as an assistant, and now he's making double what he was making here. We're going to pick up that coaching conversation, Jay. Thanks for bringing that up. Coaching experience is key, and we'll add that to the topic tomorrow. X, what's your thoughts on the basketball game as we get out of here?
Alabama has an 8-game win streak over South Carolina. I believe that it does continue tonight. Somebody brought up the stat. It took Brandon Miller 17 games to get 6 20-point games last year. Mark Sears has done it in just a little bit over that in 20 games, I believe. So, or whatever the number is, just a couple extra games. So I'm really impressed with Mark Sears and what he's been able to do. I think he continues to lead this team.
I think Alabama has to be more physical. I think South Carolina went into Mississippi State and shocked them. But I talked to someone who knows basketball. They said that Mississippi State stopped going down low to their big. Alabama, we don't have that part of our game. So look for an early contested game. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They were picked to be last in the conference, so they're playing with house money. Still think Bama wins and takes care of business. But I want to see this team be consistent and play for an entire game, not just a half or in spurts. Look for Bama to get the big win. We'll be back tomorrow to break it down. We'll have a Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll add you to it. Coaching experience and also, would you rather have an unproven 4 or 5-star or an experienced 3-star? Would you rather have a coach who will do what you say or a coach who's done it? That's a couple questions for tomorrow. We'll be back. That's Xavier Houston. That's Justin Jones. Thanks to all the caller listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. I'm Martin Houston saying, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All you always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Time